Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Joe Miller, along with Trevor Quick Trooper Henry. Totally messed your name. I don't know how I can do that after so long. And the next teams that, of course, are going to be taken to the Rift will be the Super Hot Crew and Fnatic. Now, during the spring split, Fnatic would have been the clear favourites in this game. They secured a 3-1 head-to-head. But so far this summer, we just can't say the same about it. The Super Hot Crew have a higher table position at 4 wins and 2 losses, while Fnatic are even at 3-3. And last week, 3 out of the top 5 OP players came from the Super Hot Crew's roster. It's also interesting to know that last week, Fnatic lost to Gambit, while the Super Hot Crew managed to take them down.
Well, the Super Hot Crew just continued to impress me. You know, from their individual abilities to their actual team-based playing calling, Super Hot Crew have just really gone leaps and bounds above their spring split performance. If we look at some of the numbers, they've secured 17 dragons, 54 towers, and 11 inhibitors, which actually puts them first in all of those categories while they've won 4 out of 6 games. I do want to take a moment to highlight the turnaround performance in Selfie. This is another time I'm talking about him. If you compare his stats in the spring split, where he averaged a 1.84 KDA, to his summer split, where he has nearly 3 times that number, he has more kills, less deaths, and more assists in less games. And he's playing much more champions as well. He's just really stepped up and grown into his role on the stage.
Yeah, impressive stuff so far from Selfie. On the other side, Fnatic have been improving since their opening showings, but are far from being considered a threat amongst the stronger of the teams in Europe. And while calling Super Hot Crew one of the stronger teams in Europe may be a little bit early, you can't deny their ability to perform at the moment.
You really can't. And to demonstrate Fnatic's stark contrast from their opening 7 games last split, let's actually break down some of the numbers again and see how far they've fallen behind. It's in every single metric. So they've secured 8 less dragons, 3 less barons, 27 less towers, and 13 less inhibitors. And if we talk kills and assists, it's 134 less assists in their first 6 games this split. It is a little unfair. I've kind of tweaked these numbers. You know, I've taken 7-0 winning streak versus a 3-3 streak, and you can't really contrast those. But if we compare their summer split start to the rest of their opposition, Fnatic are 6th out of 8 when you look at dragons. They are 5th when you look at towers. They are 6th out of 8 when you think about them securing inhibitors. Fact of the matter is, Fnatic is performing like a bottom 3 team, and if they don't get themselves together quickly, they may not be challenging for a place at the top of the table going into playoffs.
Well, despite the standing, Super Hot Crew knows how good Fnatic is. We'll be watching for their objective control. Meanwhile, Reckless and his teammates have some newfound respect for Selfie and We Will Failer, who have helped turn around the Super Hot Crew.
Fnatic is at the moment in a slump, and I think everyone apart from the bot lane is underperforming.
Super Hot Crew has a lot of actually pretty skilled members. All of them are really good individually, but I think what they lack is the team coordination, really.
Fnatic's trademark is definitely that they have the best rotation in the game, and as well they have the best team synergy because they've been around for so long, and I think that makes them strong and that makes them come back every single time.
I think as long as you can keep up with their rotations, they are not the greatest. Like we can beat them, I think.
When you see them play some games, they play good, they are equal, and then at some point they either go full ham and win the game or full ham and lose the game.
I think Selfie brings a lot of individual skill.
I think he's becoming a really good mid laner.
Meanwhile, Failure, I'd say, is less individual skill, but he's really good at controlling his teammates and making sure that these team issues that they had before, the objective control and vision control, that they are solved. So I think with him, they're a stronger team.
Even though they're in a slump, they're always going to come back because they rely on each other, they believe in each other, and they have the best rotation in the game in EU for sure.
And I think We Will Failer hit the nail on the head there when he said Fnatic always somehow come back strong. This is not the first time that we've seen Fnatic in a bit of a sticky scenario.
It isn't, and it is still early days. 6 games into the split, and you know we're calling doomsday on Fnatic. I do also think that we need to have a rotations counter, because I think all of the videos today, the players have been all about them rotations.
I certainly have. Guys, let's move things forward and check out the starting lineups for this game. On the blue side, it's the Super Hot Crew with Mima in the top lane, Impaler in the jungle, Selfie in the mid lane, and the duo of Mr. Rals Styles and We Will Fail Her.
Well, Selfie's definitely taking a look at himself and standing out in the crowd there. On the red side, it is Fnatic with Soaz in the top lane, Cyanide in the jungle, Peke playing mid with Reckless, and Yellow Stars Fnatic's AD carry and support.
And that brings us to our featured matchup of today as we concentrate on the AD carries. Super Hot Crew's Mr. Ral's and Fnatic's Reckless.
So when you look at the two ADCs side by side, technically speaking, Mr. Ral's stats are in fact lower than Reckless's. His KDA, his total multi-kills are both lower, but when you actually compare the impact that these two players have in-game, there can be no argument that Mr. Ral's is much more integral to actually helping his team win the game. When you look at Reckless, yes, his numbers are of course great, but if Soaz and Peke don't protect him on the front line, absolutely, he simply doesn't commit to the fights. And I don't think Reckless is a player that plays to protect his numbers. That's not the vibe that you get, but he's a definitely much more cautious AD carry than Mr. Ral's, and we'll see whether his cautious style will be better than Mr. Ral's slightly more aggressive style this matchup.
We're going to find out real soon here. We're about to head into Champion Select, so we'll pull up your votes for this match. It looks like you've picked Fnatic to win by 73%. It doesn't matter how big of a slump Fnatic having, you guys seemingly always vote them to come out on top here.
They got a lot of fan support, and they need to prove their fans correct if they actually want to pick up a victory here. In terms of last week's performances, they are the underdogs. End of story. They did have a fantastic game last week where they ran this sort of Chinese poke comp with Nunu jungle, Peke was playing Nidalee, and I was very impressed with how Fnatic handled their kite and fight. But on the same token, Super Hot Crew went 2-0, they smashed Gambit, they were looking very strong. So we'll see how this game pans out.
So while we're on the topic then of Champion Select, we're going to get in there right now and figure out what these two teams will be running coming into our third game of the first day of Week 3 here in the European LCS. Super Hot Crew on blue side, of course, will be banning out Twisted Fate here first of all, a champion which Peke has often brought to the table. On the other side, Yasuo, not a champion that we've already seen. If you're Alliance especially, you don't want him on Yasuo.
No, Selfie hasn't had a chance to play much Yasuo. It's been banned against him almost permanently, except for that one game where Alliance did it through. He went 8-2-8 and was instrumental. The thing is, we've seen Selfie playing Yasuo, playing Twisted Fate. We've seen him playing Fizz during the promotion tournament. His Orianna's pretty good. There's actually a lot of champions that both Selfie and Peke can run. But I think Lucian is up there as still an important pick or ban. Thresh, Lee Sin are some of the priorities that if they're not banned away, they should be first pick considerations.
So Morgana taken away here by the Super Hot Crew. Interestingly enough, Yellow Star has only really played Thresh and Morgana, which if you look at We Will Fail, then he's not just picked a lot of Thresh, but played incredibly well. We'll see if that actually gets through here. Jax was also one taken away, this time by Fnatic.
Kassadin's still up, so the question is, what is Super Hot Crew ban as the last option? With Kassadin still available, Fnatic now need to prioritize. Do they potentially let that through? It didn't work against SK for Millennium in the previous game, and I think this is long times. I mean, that countdown clock for Super Hot Crew went all the way down to the wire for that very last ban.
Yeah, that last ban was LeBlanc aimed straight in again at XPeke. 2 bans put straight towards him. What are Fnatic going to finish with here? Surely talking about whether it's Kassadin or whether they go a different route, and it will in fact be Kassadin, banning 85% of games so far.
Yeah, I was going to say first pick for Super Hot Crew was going to be Lee Sin, Lucian, or Thresh. Now, those are 3 major comfort picks for the Super Hot Crew, and We Will Fail won OP support last week for his Thresh play. He landed some incredible death sentences in the mid to late game. He has a very good natural synergy with the rest of his team when it comes to those Lantern ganks, and Fnatic have to decide, where do they go? Shyvana is up. Do they want to deny Lee Sin from Impaler and lock that in for Cyanide, which is also a comfort pick? But then Impaler's just going to grab himself Elise. Shyvana's on the table. I would think Lucian would have to be a pick here, because that's Mr. Ral's most played. 5 games on Lucian, only 1 on Draven.
I definitely expect it to be the Shyvana question. Also an interesting one. Mima really focused on Shyvana a lot this season, but actually Nidalee, one of the only champions that you'd expect Peke to come out. In fact, we had 4 mid lane bans in this game. They're going to get their hands on Nidalee this time around, and Cyanide wanted the Elise for the jungle here.
So this is actually quite an interesting lock-in. When you think about the composition that Fnatic ran last week, they ran the Nunu with Nidalee, so they had the zoning power from Nunu to help allow all of that damage from the Nidalee as well as their Twitch AD carry. Twitch is still available. If Fnatic look to lock in Twitch in the next few rotations, they've got the makings of a very strong pick composition. Twitch, Elise, and Nidalee can synergize very well to have ganks that are catching their opponents off guard, surprising them with ambush, surprising them with repel, and they've also got pretty strong sieging power with those champions. The only problem is there's no safe wave clear right now. So if Super Hot Crew get champions that can force Fnatic onto the back foot, Fnatic are going to need some safer AoE damage to clear out minion waves.
Looks like it may be Twitch here, just switching out to him in the last second. So Twitch taken for Mr. Rolls, along with Kale, which we saw in the victory over Gambit Gaming last week. 5-1-5 was the final score for Selfie in that game, picking up a lot of points along the way and doing incredibly well with it.
Yeah, so Kale is another champion that's sort of, she actually fell out of favor towards the end of the spring splitters, had somewhat of a resurgence. The interesting thing is on these mid lane builds, it has been prioritized with the Shred, the Runon's Hurricane type build. What I'd like to see from the rest of the Super Hot Crew comp is maybe a little more CC. Thresh is great for disengage and for peel, but it's not going to buy Kale a massive amount of time to get all of the AoE damage from multiple auto attacks. And, you know, Nidalee is mobile, can heal, can run away. Elise can repel, can get away. There's good disengage from Nami as well. So there's going to be a lot of pressure on Super Hot Crew to pick the exact right fight so that this Kale can either, you know, get a lot of auto attacks off, or if Selfie goes the AP burst build, just instantly burst somebody down.
Shouldn't by right be getting to the back lines where Reckless will be hammering away with that Cogmore. Super Hot Crew then onto their final choices, looking for a jungler and a top laner here for Mima. And as I said before, Shyvana really been the go-to pick in terms of Mima's top lane choices. Only lost one game with that, and that was against SK.
Yeah, Mima did a very good job last week. He played Dr. Mundo in the last game of the weekend against Gambit, if memory serves, and had a phenomenal performance. But, you know, our featured matchup was the two AD carries, and we're seeing them on new champions for this split. We haven't seen Mr. Rolls on Twitch yet. We haven't seen Reckless on Cogmore yet. We talked about the cautious playstyle of Reckless. We talked about the aggressive playstyle of Twitch. They have champions that emphasize their natural player strengths and weaknesses, and we'll see if they can work around it. I like the idea of this ambush Kale ganks from Super Hot Crew, but how quickly can Super Hot Crew unlock Mr. Rolls? How quickly can they get him roaming around to look for this ambushes, probably in conjunction with E?
Let's have a look then for Fnatic. It's going to be Soaz's choice here, last on the board. Already got that Nidalee for the mid lane, which, you know, we've seen stranger things in Fnatic than a Nidalee maybe going top lane for them. Don't expect it to happen here though, with Shyvana on the board, Soaz going in straight away for Trundle.
This is such a powerful composition from Fnatic. I feel like they have all of the tools they need to deal with Super Hot Crew, because Super Hot Crew has got a lot of peel and protect in the form of Thresh. But the moment his spells and cooldowns are blown, a lot of members of Fnatic can run down to get to Mr. Rolls or to get to Selfie. Evelynn and Shyvana are not going to offer a massive amount of protection for their squishies. Whereas, you've got a Tidal Wave, you've got Bubbles, you've got a Slow from Nami, you have Pillars, Cocoons, Repel from Fnatic. They actually have the makings of another kite and fight style of comp. You put the Trundle Pillar down, Nidalee lands spears, someone's low enough, Tidal Wave, and that's it, we commit to the fight. And if someone doesn't get hit by a spear, well, the Tidal Wave and the Pillar double up as defensive backing away tools. But the thing is, there's no room for error. The moment Fnatic misplay one of those spells, the champions on Super Hot Crew can run Fnatic down. So as long as Fnatic play well, they can beat Super Hot Crew with this composition. But one mistake and they get collapsed upon.
Well, we're going to find out how that one goes pretty soon. But guys, with our featured matchup in mind, which AD carry do you think will perform a better performance in this game? Use hashtag MrRals or hashtag Reckless in a tweet to @LOL Esports to let us know, and we'll check out your votes once the game starts.
Please make sure you double check those spellings. That's a double L for Rolls and a double K for Reckless. They count, people. They count.
And a single S on the end of
Yes,
Reckless.
I know, and a Z for Mr. Rolls. The only reason I say this, every time we write our scripts, I'm like, is it double? Where's the L's and it? Yeah, so guys at home, just double check that.
And we'll have a bunch of tweets to other hashtag Reckless and other hashtag Mr. Rolls. Not sure that it really matters, so interested to see how that vote goes, considering we're so focused on that AD carry matchup. We're going to find out though, guys. We're headed into game as the Super Hot Crew take on Fnatic. Who's going to come out on top of this one? It'll be a big confidence booster for Fnatic, considering they're 3-3 standing right now, but the Super Hot Crew could add another big name to the scalps they've already taken this year.
Yeah, they really can. The Super Hot Crew, in terms of their composition, I feel do not want to stay overextended in any sort of engagement. Because of the power of that Tidal Wave and the Trundle Pillar and the Nidalee Spears, if Super Hot Crew are bogged down and held in place long enough, Fnatic's comp will then begin to overpower them. But the moment Super Hot Crew can find an opportunity, they need to pounce. They've got all of the champions you want to dive on somebody. Kayle has got a slow and a speed boost to get their engage in or to engage herself. And I think that's what is going to become a story. If Super Hot Crew are mobile and active enough, they can make Fnatic's life difficult, but no early aggression in this opening minute.
A ward in the mid lane there from Impaler to spot anyone moving through that way as early as possible. But currently, it's Super Hot Crew that are spread out a little bit more across the map itself, with Fnatic all camping by the Wraith Brush at this stage on their side of the map. They've already got wards down on the Tri-Bush up top and also on the other side of Red Buff, so they'll see the Super Hot Crew coming in here, but it doesn't look like the Super Hot Crew will in fact do that. They're already sat far too far back for this one. They've got their jungler and top laner already over by blue.
Yeah, it does look like it's going to be a fairly defensive start. Fnatic with the indications of going for a lane swap, with both Reckless and Yellowstar being near this top lane. And a lot of support for Reckless. Can't deny it. He's definitely one of the most mechanically sound. And we'll see. We're not unfortunately going to get that head-to-head matchup. It's interesting to note that Yellowstar actually started the game with the Frostfang GP10, Spellthief's Edge rather. Because Nami's traditionally not a champion that you're going to get a massive amount of poke down early like the Morgana. She's going to be very reliant on landing those auto attacks, very reliant on getting in range to either get a bubble or just harass Mima down. So we'll see how effective he can do it and compare their GP10 with Weevil Phaler, who's got the more standard Relic Shield.
Do, however, like Super Hot Crew's double buff start here. We saw the duo lane actually going up and stealing away Fnatic's blue buff. That goes over to Mr. Rawls here right from the very get-go. And of course their jungler and top laner went to their blue buff early on. So that's going to leave Cyanide without a blue buff to start off with here.
Very smart, quite risky play actually. If we go back to SK versus Alliance last week,
yeah.
You know, SK tried that and it backfired quite heavily because they got collapsed upon. But I think Super Hot Crew predicting the lane swap and anticipating the Fnatic members being in the top half of the base was very intelligent play. And this is what we keep talking about this team. They've got research, they've got planning, they've got a game plan coming in, and they've got that early lead. The thing is, Selfie's got to be a little careful. If Fnatic can come in behind him and he's pushing that lane, he is at risk of being ganked, while the rest of Super Hot Crew are just pushing the tower.
Yeah, 4-man push onto this bottom lane. No need to even check blue buff for Fnatic's jungle and top laner. They already saw Impaler there with the blue buff, and they already saw Mr. Rawls with their own blue buff being carried. Fnatic themselves are putting pressure onto the top outer turret. We'll see if the jungler and top laner actually come across to help them with that one, or whether they're going to take a different route. Actually, it looks like Soaz and Cyanide won't be helping out with that turret, so Super Hot Crew should be taking the first tower of the game.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be too much of an advantage, because if we look at the HP of Super Hot Crew's top lane tower, it is actually at equal levels of hit points. But because the minion waves have both been killed, the real question for me is, which team decides to back away first in terms of the recalls, and who do they put into those side lanes to CS? We need to take note of whether Super Hot Crew or Fnatic decide to freeze the lane, or if they give that CS to their AD carry or their solo laners. For the time being, neither tower's gone down. Neither team has successfully killed that tower early on. Remember, on this patch, it is 30 damage reduction until the 7th minute. When we were seeing the prevalent 4v0s, it was a lower amount of DR, so the towers would have dropped a little quicker.
Look at this though, the Super Hot Crew utilizing their higher numbered side of the map and going straight in for an early dragon. This is going to be taken away with Fnatic really having no sniff there. They possibly knew that it was going to happen, but they couldn't do a single thing about it, and that is a nice early pickup. Look at the numbers there at the top of your screen. 7.1 to 6,000 gold lead in favor of the Super Hot Crew. Great little start.
Very, very smart. Just having the information to work with. Dragon's not worth all that much at this stage in the game because of the average level being very low. But Super Hot Crew have timing on it, they have positioning on it. They did not lose their top lane tower, and they do have that gold lead. What Fnatic have done though, is they've pulled this minion wave towards it. So Yellowstar's doing a pretty good job of freezing it. I think it's going to hit that tower range though, so that will play a little bit into Mima's favor. But for the time being, Fnatic made a conscious decision. We're not going to push the lane. We're not going to try even out the towers. Instead, they may want to focus on shutting Mima down. He's 12 CS behind, he's 2 levels down on SOAS, and that is very important when you consider Mima needs to be on that front line, he needs to be running amok against Fnatic.
And we see that Reckless actually tanking the minions up to stop them going into the turret before his own wave came into there to freeze it where he wanted. Impaler, though, is coming around, but with Mima still being at level 2, this could be dangerous for them. Yellowstar actually coming a little bit too far out from this one. Shouldn't be that much of a problem for them with the control that Yellowstar can put down. However, We Will Failure is now moving up as well.
Yeah, there's no hard CC on the side of Super Hard Crew, and Impaler didn't have red buff, so there's not a lot to hold Fnatic in place. And unfortunately, it just seems like a little bit of a presence effort to try and counterbalance this very risky farming that Mima needs to take place in. So we do see the first teleport of the game. SOAS is actually going to TP to this bottom lane, continue to try CS, and the 2 stories that we're already seeing develop. Reckless has had a longer time CSing because his focus was on the minions. He backed away earlier than what Mr. Rolls did. Mr. Rolls was focusing the tower and then the dragon. On the same time, SOAS has got himself a lead over Mima. So the first time we see these champions get involved, keep in mind Mima's always going to be a little behind.
So, look at this. Impaler and Cyanide both in the same place at the same time. In fact, both putting a pink ward down here in that Death Brush. It's Impaler that will remove Fnatic's first, but of course, he's probably going to lose his pink ward straight away after that one. But at the end of the day, he's the Evelyn, and that pink ward going to be more important for spotting him out overall. And we can see that the questions that we had earlier on, it's going to leave Reckless alone in the top lane up against Mima, who is still only level 3. Only has, I say only has 13 CS. That's actually a good comeback if you look at the numbers compared to what SOAS had earlier.
Yeah, he was much further behind. That top lane did get shoved further by Fnatic. I don't think it was frozen as effectively as maybe Fnatic would have liked. So Mima did get that minion wave to crash under his tower. The one thing I do want to note is that We Will Fail is roaming with this Thresh. He was spending some time looking after Mima, basically to counterbalance that 2v1, and because Mr. Riles could farm safely against the Trundle at this stage in the game. But the reason I highlight it is the previous game, Enrated was playing Thresh, and he did the same thing. He roamed a lot more than we're used to seeing on Thresh plays. So we actually need to keep an eye on this and see whether or not these LCS Thresh supports are now moving around the map, are roaming and trying to help out the lane or the champion that needs it most in these early stages of the game.
And there's that pink ward that I was talking about earlier, finally removed from the map. Actually, it's a big wave push up there by Mr. Rolls onto that inner turret. That'll be free CS for SOAS coming in. He maintains a slight lead over his opposite number, although Mima, credit to him for actually catching things back up. But now that the duo's in that top lane, he may get starved out again, and even worse possibly if Cyanide comes around.
Yeah, that tower's very low on hit points. So if the minion wave was being pushed quicker, there would have been a dive potential by Cyanide, but because Reckless and Yellowstar were not shoving that wave as hard as they could, it would have taken too much time. Cyanide would have committed too much time for a potential gank. What we did note as well a few moments ago, before Mr. Rolls backed off, he pushed SOAS all the way to that inner turret on the bottom lane, and there was a pretty good ring of vision from Super Hard Crew around the middle of the map. So it was fairly aggressive farming from Mr. Rolls. He's got the makings of that Blade of the Rune King, and it looks like Super Hard Crew are just going to swap their duos. So we may have these AD carry and support battles finally taking place in this top lane. And we'll see who is going to come out ahead, because of course the Twitter fan vote was in favor of Reckless.
However, they need to think about this mid lane. Both Impaler and Selfie putting some good damage onto that. Cyanide just backing around with enough time so that it doesn't lose too much health, although it is down already to less than half HP on Fnatic's side of the map. And as Cyanide backs away, Impaler has actually stuck around from this one.
Yeah, and there's so much attack speed from Selfie, plus the range on that Righteous Fury. They may get this tower. There's not enough minions, actually. So pretty good defense by Fnatic to hold it off. If Impaler sticks around for another wave, they can get a second tower of the game. Fnatic made quite a smart choice earlier on by not trying to rush the tower down and focus on CSing and farming. They're only 700 gold down, which is basically that first dragon that got secured. And because they've got the top lane tower very, very low, if at any point Fnatic decides to push it or focus it with a minion wave, they will be able to keep it out that gold.
There is that tower though going down with Peke backing off for his blue buff. Selfie just walking into auto attack range there and finishing that one off. Let's see how the Super Hot Crew now develop their game from it with only that one single outer turret in the top lane. You can see that they're already moving through the Fnatic jungle, getting some deep wards down to maintain as much vision as they can of Fnatic themselves. Cyanide even coming down towards this bottom lane, but Soaz and Mima at that stage now where they'll probably just do a little bashing on each other and then back away. However, Dragon now is coming live in this game. Super Hot Crew snuck the first one, and Peke may get caught out here a little bit by Mr. Rals. The Cutlass was used, but Peke leaping out to safety.
Yeah, very quick flash from Peke. There wasn't enough CC from We Will Failure there to lock Peke down. And because Super Hot Crew had the timing on the Dragon, like you mentioned, from grabbing it very early on in the game, that gank was to attempt to secure the Dragon. If Super Hot Crew can rush this down quickly, it will be a safe Dragon. If they get caught out and Peke can start throwing spears, it becomes much riskier. But it doesn't look like Fnatic are going to challenge at all, and they're going to trade tower for Dragon. Keep note of that very big minion wave in the top lane. Let's see if Super Hot Crew can hold on to it and keep that lane sitting in their favor with some good farming, or whether or not Reckless can shove it into that inner turret.
Leaving the Super Hot Crew just with 1,000 gold lead at this point. We heard actually from Peke that Super Hot Crew can go hard and win a game or hard and lose a game. Selfie here will be forced to flash. The pillar comes in, intervention goes down. Soaz actually taking a lot of damage as Nami from the side will knock them up, and the first blood going over to Peke. He even survives the turret hits.
Very well played by Fnatic. That's what we talked about. The power of the Trundle Pillar to line up all of the damage and make it easier for the rest of Fnatic to land their skill shots. A sideways tidal wave from Yellow Star cut off any potential route for escape, and Selfie goes down. So Fnatic, they do get the first blood on the board. They got one tower to their name, and we'll have to see if they can keep working, because that's the power of Fnatic CC. As long as they use it correctly, there's very little that Super Hot Crew can do to get around it. Impaler can shake off one of those slows, but he's still going to get slowed by something else. They're going to get caught by some other form of CC or kiting spells.
Let's have a look down some of the items here then, as we seem to have a bit of a break in the action as both teams go back to a little bit more farming business. The Nash's Tooth is done for Selfie. Of course, your Themes will be the opening item for it. Peke on the other side. The top lane is also in a similar position as Impaler is going to come around from this one. Well, Poppy's W goes in there. Red buff actually goes in the end over to Cyanide though, outsmiting Impaler.
Yeah, and he didn't even need to burn a summoner spell. Being very aware of his surroundings, easy escape from a repel, the numbers advantage of a Super Hot Crew, and the amount of attack damage that they get from their champions should give them this turret. They're running out of minions, but they do have a backup minion wave. The problem is, Fnatic look to be applying pressure in this mid lane. Mr. Rals has bitten off more than he can chew.
Oh, the bubble may be dangerous for him here. There is a bubble coming out. He catches him, but there's going to be no follow-through damage, and actually forcing the two of them away. Takes a big spear, though, as Peke threw that one max range. Now Mr. Rals backing off to recall.
Yeah, that was a lot of damage being put down into Yellow Star, but unfortunately, Mr. Rals, no support. Doesn't manage to pick up the kill. So the third tower of the game taken in favor of Super Hot Crew. And when you consider that they have 2 dragons and 3 towers, but they're only 800 or 900 gold ahead, that is not a very big lead. From a CS perspective, they're actually quite far behind. Soaz has got himself a lead, Reckless has got himself a lead, Cyanide's got himself a lead. So Fnatic doing very well at earning themselves and keeping themselves relevant in gold, and they've got to a very safe point. It's difficult to take those inner turrets. I think they're going to kill Mima.
I do believe so. Certainly force him to use that ultimate, and tidal wave coming in wasn't enough to lock him up. That was good reactions from Mima. Could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, it really could have. Yellow Star also didn't fully commit. He did have exhaust available, opted not to use it. This is something we also haven't touched on yet, because of the fact that Kale, Shyvana, Evelyn are going to be diving into Fnatic's back line. There's double exhausts on the side of Fnatic. Mr. Rals fancies the chance of Soaz. Not really.
Get in there though.
Half committed.
We troll strong enough at level 9 to just back away from that one. As you mentioned, Soaz holding that CS lead that's been there pretty much the entire game. The AD carries is the one that really could become a problem for them, with his Cogmore really getting going. Got himself the Vamp Scepter, 2 stages also of that Trinity Force. On the other side though, Mr. Rals with his Blade of the Rune King not being able to particularly use it up until now though.
No, he's falling behind in CS. He's tried 2 attempts to find kills, hasn't made it work. I do think there is a ticking time bomb on the side of Fnatic, because the longer this game goes, the more I like their comp in terms of all of the spells and abilities they have. If Super Hot Crew do not make positive, aggressive plays against Fnatic, and Super Hot Crew find themselves defending a tower, they're going to be relying on Selfie for wave clear. He doesn't have the longest of attack ranges on that Righteous Fury, which means he's going to put himself in range of Javelin tosses, in range of those Trundle Spears. And Super Hot Crew do not have a particularly strong team for defending sieges. That's a good bubble on my mind.
Yellow Star here going far too deep, going to be forced to flash, and they're going to be ulted onto here by Impaler, who's going to keep chasing. Slow comes down though from Reckless. Flash though from Impaler. They're going to keep going on this one. Yellow Star going low. There's the ultimate out of Mima. They bubble him up though, and we see Yellow Star get away to safety. Soaz is there as well, and they turn it around for the kill.
And that's the problem. Super Hot Crew felt the pressure. They realized they need to be making plays. Their composition needs to be ahead. So they overcommitted to that kill. Now, they may get this tower in reply. Oh, there's not enough minions. This is going to be close. Super Hot Crew, obviously, overcommitting, gave away that kill by chasing simply too far. But you can't deny the fact that Mr. Rolls has got a lot of damage onto this top turret. He's going to try ambush to get away and should actually be able to make it.
I think so. Reckless Yellow Star not chasing on too quickly after that one, although we do see the boots and mobility for both supports now, so you always got to be a little bit careful of that one. Mima getting hit with a spear from Peke, who's actually out of vision right now, which is a problem for everyone who's up against an Italy. This tower taking a beating. I think Mime will be able to hold on to it, but it's just a case of a single auto attack from really anyone to finish off that tower.
Yeah, and that will just push Fnatic over the head, over the top in terms of gold. 100 gold in the lead. They've got both of the kills on the table. Fnatic have done very well when pressured. The moment Super Hot Crew have committed onto Fnatic, they've backed away well enough and not given up any kills or objectives that Super Hot Crew tried to force. Keep in mind that that top inner turret is low. Oh, they've caught Peke.
They've caught Peke. The Flame will knock him back here, but he just switches out into Cougar form. Will get away with half of his health still intact, and that could be dangerous now with those spears still in play for Fnatic. The last two dragons, of course, went to the Super Hot Crew. Can they hold this one, though?
There's no teleports in either of these top laners, and Mima is a long way away from the rest of his team. So if Super Hot Crew were to pick a fight around Dragon, Mima would need to come in from the flank or from the sidelines. It looks like Soaz has gone to meet him, but this is 4v4. They've got Selfie!
Oh, the Cocoon landing on towards Selfie there. He gets bubbled up as well. The intervention already used. Impaler the one now at the front, and a lot of damage was done from both sides. A good spear onto Mr. Ross as well. There's the ultimate coming out of Impaler. The wave comes through. It was flashed by Impaler, who gets the hook and the play, and they lock up Reckless. That was fantastic out of Impaler once again.
And that's why they first picked the Thresh. Impaler's strongest support champion has been Thresh. It's not over yet. Peke looks, he gets it! We had to say it.
I'm not sure why you'd put yourself against the wall there with only one direction to dodge into. He did it though, and Peke landing that spear. Selfie also taking another big hit. They may have done enough here to force them away completely, and Fnatic are going to be able to take a tower for it.
So very well played. Unfortunately for Super Hot Crew, they took too much damage on the retreat. Impaler not able to sidestep that spear. Fnatic come out much further ahead. Keep your eyes on Impaler. He flashes over the tidal wave and lands the death sentence onto Reckless. But such good spears from Peke. I think he's landed 3 back-to-back up until that very one. Managed to get a lot of good damage onto Mima, onto Mr. Rolls' self, and then eventually landed the killing blow on Impaler as well.
Fnatic with that though did get that outer turret in the mid lane and also pushed straight back around into the river to pick themselves up their first dragon of this matchup, and that will leave them now 2,000 gold in the lead as Reckless finally finishes off that low HP turret. It's been low for a good few minutes by now. That is a solid pickup by Fnatic and one that will extend their gold lead to 2,000. However, the Super Hot Crew seem to be on the push themselves.
Yeah, they realize it's going to take time for Fnatic to recall and get back to this middle lane. Because of the attack speed that Selfie's going to have thanks to his very, very heavy build, it should get a lot of damage. That's 2 towers now, down to less than 30%. And Mr. Rolls, he's on the run.
He's on the run. Where's he going to go? He has to take a lance. Spear following through, but didn't have the range. There's the pillar, though, coming down from Soaz. He's right at the back of him. They'll focus. Impaler, and that will be a nice pickup once again. Cocoon not quite landing. Spear's flashing by as well. And it's just a 1-for-0.
Soaz in a great position. Manages to flank the Super Hot Crew, come in behind, and grab a kill. Keep in mind that Super Hot Crew got a turret for that. They got an inner turret in the top lane. They got 75% of the HP in the mid lane. So while Fnatic came out ahead in terms of map presence right now, they did lose a tower in the process, and they're not going to even out the damage on this inner turret. So Super Hard Crew, while they are still playing from behind in terms of the team fights, they are actually playing fairly objective focused. If Super Hard Crew can pull themselves together for the following fights, they do have the potential to get a lot of map presence very quickly.
See there, the difference was between each player, and there's not really that much of a difference overall. The biggest is actually with the supports at 1,000 gold there. The rest of them very, very close within 200-300 of each other. There's another hook coming out. We will fail at not connecting, and you don't want to be stuck on your own against the Kog'Maw.
Yeah, and very interesting to note that both supports have changed their GP10. They've called Peke.
They've called Peke. Slow goes down. He's going to be forced to flash. The flash against him though, and Peke trying to get it over the wall. Didn't quite have the range. Selfie was able to burst him down, and without Nidalee, can they hold on now to this bottom inner turret? Mimer's already coming up from the backside where he's pushed that wave through.
There's not a lot of wave clear from Fnatic, so if Super Hard Crew have some minions to work with, they should be able to get this tower down. Fnatic have backed away. Look at Mimer, Impaler from the backline, they've got in.
Yeah, but I think Impaler might actually fall from this one. There's a tidal wave coming in. Impaler has to flash back out of it. Intervention already used. Turret is going to go down though, and both Cyanide and Peke dying from that one. Great move again from the Super Hard Crew.
Very, very well played. They found the pick onto Peke, and they've been focusing these towers. You can definitely see that Super Hot Crew are playing a tower game. They are more interested in getting the objectives than they really are about team fights. And I think it's because Super Hot Crew also understand their composition will not necessarily completely beat Fnatic in a straight up 5v5. The power and the disengage in Fnatic's comp means that Super Hot Crew have to catch Fnatic unawares, flank them, Mimer from one side, Impaler from another, force those pillars and tidal waves to be less effective by hitting less members. And fortunately for Super Hot Crew, they've got the pick that got them a tower. But you can't deny the fact that Fnatic have simply done better in the bigger engages and the bigger skirmishes. So we'll see how Super Hot Crew settle their nerves and try break that inhibitor line of turrets, which is the next focus for them.
Now that all continues, when you look at Selfie, just picked himself up that Hurricane and a blasting wand as well. He's going to be a lot more impactful if things do end up getting grouped together. We'll see though, we're only 23 minutes into this game, already 7 kills down, 8 towers already fallen as well. Where's the next move going to come? We've got Dragon up in 2 minutes. For now, it looks like both teams quite content with a bit of farming.
Yeah, the one thing I was trying to say before they called Peke was that both We Will Fail and Yellowstar have transitioned away from their GP10s. That's a lot of damage from Baron. It's a whole lot of damage from Baron. They've transitioned away from their GP10s to the Ancient Coins. Now, Mimer's the next focus.
Oh, sidestepping the tidal wave, but in the end, he got slowed down by Kog'Maw, but was able to get away. Interesting little fight down in that bottom lane. Did use his flash as well, Mimer, so won't have that available to him next time it may be called in.
Mimer and Soaz are both trying to split push, though. They're not split pushing the same lane yet, but you've seen Soaz in the top lane, you've seen Mimer in the bottom lane. Since Mimer's forced to get away from that lane, he's now trying to reply to Soaz, and that's because the teleport is available for Mimer, so he wants to be playing the map game. Super Hot Crew have already shown such a focus at getting these towers down that if they can get the lanes pushing in their favor, it opens them up to a safer Dragon initiation. The ward coverage for Super Hot Crew in the blue side area of Fnatic is not too bad. They've got a couple of deep wards, and with Dragon up in 45 seconds, they're going to be looking to either keep that up or get more vision so that they can have a safer and smarter Dragon potentially fight.
Bottom lane will be pushed by Mr. Ross. Fnatic has a bunch of 4 at the moment in the mid lane. Going to push that one all the way out. They've got Soaz coming down from the top lane as well. Mimer was just headed towards that top side of the map as Yellowstar here, trying to get in. He's actually going to get hooked. There'll be no follow through from the Super Hot Crew. This time, We Will Fail sidesteps the spear.
Mr. Rolls is not with the team. Super Hot Crew never wanted to get involved in that fight because Mr. Rolls was shoving that bottom lane out. Because Fnatic was so smart in the time that they forced Super Hot Crew, they now have cleared out a lot of Super Hot Crew's vision, and they've got better positioning on Dragon. So if Super Hot Crew want to engage, they need to get through all of this power that Fnatic have lined up. And that's a good spear coming out of Peke again.
And they're probably going to continue. Blue buff on Peke means that those spears are going to be coming all the more often, and he does connect onto We Will Fail. No follow through as of yet, but Fnatic don't need to follow through. Do that poke damage and try and force them away. There's the vision onto Mr. Rals. They know that he's now backing off from it.
If Mr. Rals and the rest of the crew can avoid those spears, they've got minions in the top and bottom wave pushing in their favor. So the map is actually in favor of blue side. The problem is the longer that dance goes on, the higher the risk of one of those key spears just deleting you from the map. So you can see Fnatic, they're playing the poke game. SOAS with teleport has been assigned to clear the wave out, and that's been signaling the Super Haku to start Dragon. Look for the spears. Peke is the one that's going to force the team fight victory if he can get more damage.
Dragon's going down too quickly though here. They're going to be able to take this one. Selfie actually turning, going for Cyanide, who's being chunked down. That's a good pillar from SOAS actually coming out, keeping Mima pinned against the wall there for a little while.
Yeah, couldn't get away, stuck between that glacial pillar as well as the wall, and as you said, Dragon secured. So Super Haku with an objective lead again. Fnatic a little slow to react. Fnatic a little slow to look for the engagement. I think they may have underestimated how quickly the Dragon was going down. This is going to be another tower for Super Haku again. Just easy peasy.
Fnatic miles away from this one. They've moved up through their own jungle, not quick enough to react to the Super Hawk crew, who look like they may and try and get some deep wards down on the top side of the Fnatic jungle, may even be able to steal a red buff away.
Now, I'm not convinced Super Haku can break through the inhibitor line turrets. If they can get kills or picks in the jungle, it will open them up for a 5v4, a favorable turret push. But Super Haku have done such a good job of controlling these minion waves. Look, again, this is 2 minutes later. SOAS had already sort of cleared out that bottom wave. It's finally pushing in his favor. Now SOAS has to defend top lane. Every time Super Haku push into Fnatic's territory or for a big objective, the minions are mostly working in their favor.
Tense game here between these two. Reckless now getting himself a bit more farm, already got a very solid lead over his opposite number, Mr. Rals. However, the kills with Mr. Rals right now, and he's got another 1,300 gold to spend. Still 1,200 gold to spend for Reckless as well over the other side. Yellowstar actually using his bubble here just to make sure that when he does face check these brushes, he's not walking into something dangerous.
No, and it's actually been a pretty good performance from Yellowstar. I think his tidal waves have been fairly spot on, and the few times that we've seen him throw out those aqua prisons, they have landed on the priority targets. It's also nice to see more Nami being played. Now we do see SOAS and Mima going sort of toe-to-toe a little bit in that bottom lane. Both of them have their teleports, both have got Blade of the Ruined Kings. But remember that as long as SOAS times his subjugate, his ultimate well, he should always be able to come out tankier and with a lot more regen than what Mima has on his side of the coin. So that's a 1v1 that Mima's going to be very careful not to get outplayed or get outpositioned in.
Now into that dance again around Baron as the wards cleared and placed from both sides of the map. There's the Fnatic ward in the backside, which Selfie is going to be taking away for himself there. And probably just wait until the next ones come down, knowing that Fnatic are pushing around the backside, and we'll see how long this one continues and whether anyone will really dare to make a move from it.
I really feel like the Baron dance may drag on for a while. I don't think Super Haku can force a turret unless they really commit hard, like catch Fnatic off guard and maybe throw down Mr. Ral's rat-a-tat-tat for that extra range. Because unfortunately, Fnatic's long-range poke and the dispersion they offer with that tidal wave with the pillar is going to be much more powerful on the steps of the inhibitor turret.
Now, this is always one thing that baffles me sometimes. Super Haku have just spent minutes on this side of the Baron pit, getting all their vision down, clearing out Fnatic's. Impaler shows himself via a trap from Peke, and they lose up that positioning. However, with that, they've come across, they're going to go straight in for this inhibitor turret. They're going to take it as well.
There you go, one of the two conditions. If they catch Fnatic unawares, they simply grab a turret. There's so much attack speed and damage on their team, they melted through that turret so quickly. Fnatic cannot afford to make mistakes. They got caught with their pants around their ankles, they couldn't respond quickly enough, and that just results in an exposed inhibitor. Now that Super Haku have got that area to work with, if they can force Fnatic to group up and find a death sentence, which We Will Fail has had a very uncanny knack of doing, that can be Super Haku's opening to grab that inhibitor as well.
So back into position with all 10 men now stood facing off in the mid lane, and well, honestly, you're going to have to be dodging a few things here. Those spears in particular, one good one could result in danger times for the Super Haku. However, Fnatic pushing things straight out. Mima wants to get more vision back over on Baron, but Fnatic going to look to push a little bit more of an advantage down the lane itself.
Yeah, remember both of these teams with risky wave clear. We will fail again with a very good Lantern. They're relying on the split push from Mima to try and draw attention away from Fnatic. But thanks to the living of the Bioarcane Barrage and Reckless, oh, there's a Flash Hook!
Flash Hook, but he didn't get anyone. Impaler is in there as well. The Pillar comes down as well as the Tidal Wave is going to get the knockups. Who are they going to go for? Kind of half and half, but they've got Mima in the middle of the team here. Yellow Star down to less than half HP. Peke picking up the first kill, and now the turnaround comes in. Fnatic gonna chase down. Impaler going very low. So as though will fall to Selfie in the end.
So they trade a top laner for a support. That is a very good trade for the Super Hot crew. Without Trundle being on the front line and throwing those pillars out, Fnatic do not have the ability to kite and run away. That team fight demonstrated exactly how Fnatic is capable of dealing with Super Hot crew. Even though the Super Hot crew found a good engage from the side, it wasn't really enough to keep them in place long enough. So they trade 1-for-1. Fnatic are forced backwards.
Crazy, crazy fights here, and those, those top laners, Mima and Soaz, going to be so instrumental in this one. We've seen already the team fights that have happened. I think for Fnatic in particular, Soaz has come from the backside pretty much the entire time, and just a look at that tweet there, completely agree with it. Shows the growth of the Super Hot crew so incredibly well. They've gone leaps and bounds since we first saw them.
They really have, and I want to make a statement that is a little odd, but at 30 minutes in the clock, I think Super Hot crew have exhausted all of the things that you can practice in scrims. Laning phase, matchups, tower pushes. The late game on the LCS stage is not something you can replicate very easily online and at home. And it's something we hear from LCS players a lot. They just, you feel it's much more difficult to focus. So now we'll see if Super Hot crew know how to finish a game. They've got a 2,000 gold lead. They've just lost the Dragon to Fnatic thanks to positioning by Fnatic. But it's all in Super Hot crew's side. They've made some very aggressive plays. They've got a very strong tower lead. And we see how they finish, how they push, because as we've said, it's all on them. If they don't make the plays, the Trundle, the Nami, Nidalee can make their life very good.
Selfie though, always have flashbacks. When I see a Kayle get into full item build, it's always very, very scary. Void Staff added in, there's going to be a death cap coming up, I assume now from Selfie, since he is in fact recalling away from that mid lane, so he is going to be coming back in with that death cap. They have seen him recall here though, Fnatic. That's their chance to get back in and get the vision control back under their way.
Yeah, once again the ward game, just back and forth. Oh, they almost catch Impaler and We Will Failure in that mid lane, but again, you have to give props to We Will Failure. His mid to late game thresh is phenomenal.
Oh.
Mima has caught Fnatic from the sideline. There were pings. There was a thought of going in. But look at the minion waves. Once again, Super Hot crew have got minions top and bottom. This should give them some time to clear out the vision in Baron and continue this Baron dance. Get the wards back up, and we'll see if Super Hot crew can find an opening. It looks like they were thinking about metal, but decided against it.
However, they do once again have Baron positioning as the scan comes down. Are they going to start it? Well, Mima has started that one, whether they want to or not. They're going to kick this Baron off. There's going to be another ward momentarily coming down. They've actually peeled away, going in for Yellow Star. He's going to go down. Selfie getting that kill. TP's coming around, but that might be too late for them. Selfie ripping onto Cyanide as well. They get themselves a 1 kill, and they start to back away.
Yeah, without the tidal wave, that is a very big go signal. The Super Hot crew opt to not go for Baron. Because Nidalee is still up, and it takes such an extended period of time to get that objective, Super Hot crew are going to use the numbers advantage and try get in here. But We Will Fail, and Mr. Rolls just eats a javelin to Impaler as well. Peke is just landing spear after spear, and he saved his team's inhibitor.
Yeah, 3 in a row there, onto the AD carry, to the support, and onto the jungler. And just like that, the Super Hot crew going to be forced away from that open inhibitor, and away from thinking about Baron here as well. And you have to wonder whether they're just going to recall from this, spend the cash that they've amassed with that pick in the last little, not sure we can really call it a team fight. It was more Yellow Star being caught out by the stealth of Mr. Ralza's Twitch.
And I think Super Hot crew are playing very smart. They still haven't overcommitted to massive team fights. In the bottom lane, they gave 1 kill away, but at the cost of getting a lot of damage in a turret, which Mima secured a few minutes later. Super Hot crew have played the Baron vision game but they haven't overcommitted to taking Baron. Now we need to keep an eye on these spears because again, the longer you keep Super Haku in one place, the more powerful that Nidalee becomes. She lands one spear and that's it. The offense or defense is basically guaranteed for the team.
Especially in those tight corridors of the jungle, not somewhere where the Super Hot Crew really want to be focusing their effort. However, this bottom lane might be somewhere they think about going. They're on that bottom side of the Fnatic jungle. There's a minion wave that's pushed up there as well. However, Fnatic are on the top side and with a push would maybe think about going themselves over towards Baron.
Yeah, Super Hot Crew I think maybe trying to find a pick. That side of the map, there was very little vision from Fnatic, but the problem is Super Hot Crew had very little vision in this Baron area. So they're forced to now clear the wards out, and this is just going to be a back and forth ward game. Super Hot Crew do not have the tools to really hold Fnatic under a turret. Fnatic do not necessarily have the tools, or do they want to force a big fight in open ground. It's been very touch and go the few times it's happened. So both teams playing very cautiously and trying not to make mistakes.
If they're going to force a fight, now could there possibly be a time? Look at the TPs. Mima has his still available. Soaz has no teleport for the time being. If they go in there now, the likelihood is that Fnatic aren't going to have Soaz to help them in that fight.
The thing is, Super Hot Crew have got such a small window. That cooldown is not the longest for Soaz. It's another 40 seconds. Of course, Super Hot Crew don't know this. They may have seen the teleport earlier, but as long as We Will Fail and Mr. Ross keep eating the spears, or Pekka keeps landing them, whichever direction you want to call it, Fnatic are in a good spot.
Just being rescued there by the Lantern. He'd been caught out somewhat with that bubble, but seems like Fnatic, any pressure that they may have had from that teleport scenario has been alleviated from them now. As Soaz did just walk straight over towards the Baron area. Is Peke gonna have himself another blue buff here as well? Which is all going to add up to the amount of spears that come the way of the Super Hot Crew.
I really feel like if Fnatic do not get caught out of position, if Fnatic do not give up free kills, I really feel like they can continue stalling this game out and eventually force Super Hot Crew into a defensive position. If Fnatic can get the waves in their favor and put Super Hot Crew to defend some of their turrets, then all of a sudden Fnatic can use their comp the way it was meant to be used, get some spears, get some zoning, and then force Super Hot Crew away. But for the time being, Fnatic are so scared of being caught out that they're playing it very safe. They're not sieging. They're not opening up any opportunities for Super Hot Crew to flank them. So we could be in for a little while, as this vision game, I think, is going to determine the next big objective.
Yes, however, just one. We're almost 40 minutes into this game. One pick, then you've got a Baron and possibly a finisher on the game. Both top laners do have that TP back up and in play now, so we did see Mima split push in the bottom lane. So I simply recalling and pushing that one right back out. A Dragon will be coming up now, which honestly, the state of the game that we have now, a Dragon going to help either of these teams to get that one item further into their final build.
Yeah, just get all that much closer. I think the Super Hot Crew have still just done a better job of controlling their minion waves. Every time I've looked at this mini-map, the blue side minions have been pushing into Fnatic's territory. And that is also because of how safe Fnatic have been playing. They've been grouped up for a very long period of time. They're a tiny bit behind on levels, and Pela, he's found Pekka, but there's nothing else to hold him in place. We'll see if he's gone in. That's Agony's Embrace.
Yeah, going all in on this one. The heal was used by Pekka, and it flashed towards him there. Not enough damage to kill him, but they may be able to take down this turret. The Banshee's Veil soaks up the spear. Oh, what a bubble though. Two of them going to be locked up. Tidal Wave comes in as well. Impala's going to go down. They do get the inhibitor, but they're going to have to pop the coin and run away from this one. There's the Cocoon as well. Mima goes down. Surely Pillar comes into him. That's a great Lantern, but it may cost Selfie his life. He uses the intervention and the Hurricane doing good damage. Well, the Cocoon lands as well. Selfie goes down. This is horrible for the Super Hot Crew. They may lose Mima now as well as he tries to crawl away. Dodges out on the spear, but they'll keep chasing. We Will Fail rescuing him for a second time, but that is surely Baron here for Fnatic.
It will be Baron for Fnatic. That is a 2 for 0 in terms of the team fight, but Super Hot Crew did get that inhibitor. Now the chase from Fnatic was a perfect example of how they can just synergize all of their abilities to hold Super Hot Crew in place to get the damage down. Super Hot Crew panicked. I don't think the communication was the greatest. Selfie sort of went in while the Lantern was down and Mima kind of went out. They weren't on the same page. We Will Fail's box was not particularly effective. I don't think it caught anyone from Fnatic. and Super Hot Crew, a panicky team fight. It's not the end of the world because they do have super minions pushing middle. They are still even on gold, even though Fnatic have got that Baron buff on their team members. But it is still, this game is balancing on a knife's edge because whichever team makes those mistakes or overcommits to certain situations has been punished.
40 minutes in the gold is pretty much bang even right now. It doesn't get more even than this late on into the game. And again, we see those talismans, of course, not the coin, although they come from the coin, so it's kind of a third right on that one. But we see how important they could be to these fights. Once you get a pick, it gives you a big boost to maybe pick up 2 or 3 more players after that. Either way, Fnatic with that Baron under their control now will surely give the Super Hot Crew a little bit more to think about. We can see those waves already being pushed back further onto the Super Hot Crew side of the map. The Super Hot Crew themselves, though, not sitting back here. They're back up into the Fnatic jungle.
It's actually quite great if you look at how this game has gone. Fnatic have won most of the fights. Fnatic have come out in a better position after being engaged upon or, you know, catching Super Hot Crew out. But Super Hot Crew have no doubt won the map game. For the 40 minutes of this matchup, it's been Super Hot Crew taking towers, forcing objectives. But because Super Hot Crew couldn't win the team fight, they obviously lost the Baron in the most recent tower. And I think it's a testament to the playstyles. The analysts, the macro game decisions from Super Hot Crew are good, but they don't have innate team synergy or communication, I feel, to beat Fnatic in those straight up 5v5s. That previous, you know, box and selfie engaging, whatever, is a prime example of that. Mima rather, still with that teleport, still playing the split push game. Banshee's bail, and he's been interrupted.
He's going to teleport away from it, though. His teleport coming up, and there we see the importance of the teleport. This time, something to save Mima's life. However, Soaz's TP will be coming up in a second, and that means he's going to have a bit more free reign to be pushing through, maybe on that top or maybe more likely on that bottom lane where the inner turret still stands.
Yeah, that's going to be the focus. If Fnatic want to play the map game, if they lose Soaz from their team fight comp, they do run the risk of being run down because his pillars are so integral to keeping Cosmos safe, so integral to keeping Nidalee on that back line. So Fnatic now with Baron, they've still got a couple of minutes left on that one. They're going to start sieging, and this is where Super Hot Crew need to be so careful. If Fnatic play the siege correctly and patiently, they should be able to keep Super Hot Crew on the back foot and land those spears to grab the objective.
Soaz there, the one to face check through those brushes and hook hits, but he had his Banshee's Veil, and we can see there that both waves, top and bottom, pushing in the Super Hot Crew's favor.
There's a time limit to the siege because those minions are going to do a lot of it. The top wave in particular, somebody from Fnatic has to deal with it. Soaz is already backed away. He's going to make use of that teleport like we talked about. And still, just very controlled play around the map for Super Hot Crew. Inhibitor has respawned in the middle lane, so we're back in a very similar position to what we were in a few minutes ago, where it's just Super Hot Crew have to find a pick. They have to find a kill, or they have to find Fnatic out of position. Let's see if they commit to this, because Fnatic are still pretty tightly knit.
They see that Soaz on that top side, nowhere near the rest of the team. In fact, the rest of the team themselves weren't exactly close to this Inhibitor, but Super Hot Crew playing this one a little bit more cautiously. They are, however, going to have a look and try and lock up Soaz. He's a big tanky troll by now, not a champion that you can lock down easy. They have a bit of a dance while he's at it.
Not this time round, and because of the minion wave in the top, Super Hot Crew try to use it to their advantage. They could have done a cheeky play, pull Fnatic to the top lane, then rotate to the exposed Inhibitor. It didn't happen because Fnatic were able to group up quite effectively, and what I was quite impressed to see was just how quickly Reckless could group up those minions with his Voidooz and then the Living Artillery. As long as Reckless has that mana regen, he's just lost Baron, but as long as he's got some mana, there is some long range wave clear, but it's not the highest amount of damage, so there's going to be a lot of importance of keeping Reckless there under those tower or inhibitors defense positions.
Baylor coming around the side, Bubble is going to land, they can put a lot of damage back his way. Spear comes flying through as well, Impaler has to back away, and Fnatic, will they fancy their chances here? That's a good pillar. We want Failer's going to flash, they use the talisman, Tidal Wave comes through, Cocoon land, they manage to kill the support, Mima comes in, but they're selfie from the side, he's ripping through them, they're destroying the Fnatic, they're going to lose Cyanide, Impaler will get that kill, and just like that, a 2-for-1, the Super Hot Crew pushing up mid.
They found the exposed holes in Fnatic's defense, coming in from the sidelines, Mima from the right, Selfie from the left, and because of the tidal wave being thrown down the middle of the lane, it did not affect them. So the Super Hot Crew grabbed themselves a 2-for-1 trade. They should secure this inhibitor. No, because the spears from Peke are so incredibly good. Super Hot Crew play it safe. They back
Wow.
away. They win the team fight. It's a trading 2 for 2 at the end, but they don't get the inhibitor, which is very, very crucial.
See, however, the impact that Selfie has in this fight. Let's watch that again.
Yeah, it's just the side flanks. The fact of the matter is, Peke and Reckless end up getting hit by both Mima and Selfie. And as long as Fnatic are exposed, as long as there are entrances into the Fnatic composition from the sidelines, Super Hot Crew have a chance. When they're running in a straight line, all of those abilities are not possible. So I think a brave choice from Fnatic, a good reply from Super Hot Crew, but more importantly, Fnatic maintain that map presence by some very good defense on that inhibitor turret.
Crazy game we've got going here. 7-6 in towers to the Super Hot Crew. Goal remains within striking distance of one another, and to be honest, we're now 45 minutes in. That goal is going to be meaning less and less as things actually go on. It is in favor though of Fnatic. 3 out of 7 Dragons, the single Baron of the game so far. And speaking of Baron, that's going to be coming up in just over 30 seconds. Something tells me we're going to be in for a bit of a dance again.
Oh yes, and it's just the story of this game. That team fight though, I think after saying how Super Hot Crew had not really won team fights up until this point, I think that was their first convincing team fight victory. They had good positioning, they got a lot of good damage down, but unfortunately because they didn't kill Peke, they couldn't get the inhibitor. But it should give the Super Hot Crew some more confidence to look for those engagements. The thing is, they need to pull Fnatic away. They need to pull Fnatic into their territory, pull Fnatic into the jungle, or to the Baron pit, and then pull the trigger to engage. So we'll see if Super Hot Crew find the right time, because we've seen already, when they don't, it doesn't work out all that great.
Looks like they may just say, okay, Baron, you want Baron? We want your base. Fnatic going to be pulled away from Baron this time around, and again the wards going to be exchanged left and right. Super Hot Crew already have Selfie pushing his way up that mid lane on his own.
Yeah, Super Hot Crew need to be so careful. They're split up, and they don't want to pick a fight in this exposed territory. This is a 4 versus a potential 5. Mima will be late, but Selfie has shredded that inhib.
Inhib goes down. There is Yellowstar from the side, though. He's taking a lot of damage. Soaz holding 2 of them away and doing a fantastic job of it as well. Meanwhile, Mima comes around. It looks like Soaz is going to have to sacrifice himself here. Impaler gets that kill. They're going to have super minions coming in, and they've got Selfie hammering away once again on the front side. Good cocoon from Cyanide, though, will stop them pushing any further.
Fnatic not entirely on the same page, and they got split. Selfie held so many members of Fnatic on the steps of that inhibitor turret that Soaz had no backup. The original call was to commit to the fight, but they couldn't get through Kayle. He had his intervention available, he flashed away to keep Fnatic in place. With super minions in that middle lane, Super Hot Crew are now playing very aggressive. They're on Baron, there is a smite available from Cyanide, and the Javelin toss is coming out of Peke. So let's keep our eyes on the damage and the potential steal.
Mima's going to be the one that tries to hold them away from this one. Baron has already gone down. The Super Hot Crew picking that one up here thanks to that kill. A nice breaking of the Fnatic team in that last team fight, and that surely gives them a massive edge here, an edge which may just be enough to tip the game their way.
Very confident call from Super Hot Crew. There was no hesitation on the inhibitor push, even though they were split up, and I was worried about them being split up. The Super Hot Crew had it all under control. They didn't panic, they were in the right position, and now Soaz is only respawned, so we'll see if they can get how much damage they can get in this turret. It's down to about 50%.
Oh.
Those spears are so good.
He is landing again. Selfie down to half HP. They've got that big heal from himself there.
Minions bottom.
Not sure that's going to be enough. Yeah, minions again down the bottom side, and Super Hot Crew will surely just wait here on that top lane until someone shows themselves on that bottom side of the map, or they get that inhibitor turret anyway. Either way, Mima's right at the front side of this one. Minions already hammering away. Super Hot Crew going to put down the pressure onto that inhib turret. It's down to half already, but looks like they'll be forced away for now.
Half away from the top turret, half away from the bottom turret. There was 2 siege minions on that bottom turret, and minions alone, if you look at that HP bar, have got it so low. Super Hot Crew have done such a phenomenal job this game of controlling their minion waves. I've harped on about it so much, but it's been the 5.5 man that's kept Super Hot Crew from being under pressure. They're going to commit to this top lane town, and Impaler has taken a lot of damage.
Right at the front, also taking a lot of damage, almost in fact down to about a 1/5 of his HP there. He's flashing red, so that's a signal for the Super Hot Crew to start backing away somewhat. The tower itself didn't actually fall in that one, and whilst they back off, just give it a little bit of time to be regenning as well.
So Fnatic are now in such a difficult position. Both the top and the bottom lane turrets are at risk of being rushed down. Super Hot Crew have now dealt enough damage with their champions and with their minions to actually try and, you know, even do a sneaky backdoor. If Fnatic are caught out of position like they have been several times this game, Super Hot Crew can just grab themselves that objective. There are minions again pushing in their favor, and it looks to be either jungle wards on the mission for Super Hot Crew. They've got a blue buff here to secure, and obviously the wave to push out, but I think there's a lot of tools at Super Hot Crew. They can force top lane, they can force bottom lane, they can force an exposed inhibitor. And the question is, where do they feel strongest? And I'd imagine it's wherever they've got the most vision.
And can they do it before this Baron runs out? And after that, will Fnatic still be standing and even then feeling confident enough to put up any more of a fight? Such a great game. We've hit the 50-minute mark now in this one, closing in on an hour of epic battles between the Super Hot Crew and Fnatic. That bottom wave, as you said, is going to be pushing up. Mima is pushing the top wave towards the inhibitor turret. No teleport for him at the moment, though. Keep an eye on whether that has any impact moving in. And the inhibitors respawn in this mid lane.
There are so many members of Fnatic towards the bottom half of the map that Super Hot Crew have decided to play confidently towards this middle and top lane. They did this previously where they used the minion waves to try and pull Fnatic's attention and then try to get presence in another lane. With multiple Banshees Veils now on the side of Super Hot Crew, they may even feel more confident at trying to get these towers down, but Kog'Maw can pop them very, very easily. Yeah. So let's see how long they stick around. You can see Impaler, definitely the last man for the team to back away, but Super Hot Crew, they're now playing uninhibited. They're now playing without fear, and they're just looking for either a death sentence or members of Fnatic to be spaced out enough for them to move in.
Fnatic playing wrong, they could be playing uninhibited as well. So us having a dance there on the steps. 50 minutes in, there's got to be a terrible joke somewhere around. Mima here.
I thought it was quite witty.
Forced away, maybe, possibly. Reckless now should be able to do that job with the Super Hot Crew moving straight in here on that inhibitor. A lot of damage coming back. Will they be forced off? It looks like it. The pillar from Soaz will keep them locked out, but Mima playing the perfect split push here.
Yes, Mr. Rawls used his ultimate to go for a pick. He didn't manage to get the kill, which meant the objective is not secured safely. But because of the damage and the timing involved in that poke from Mr. Rawls, it allowed Mima onto their top lane tower. And Super Hot Crew, I think, are dealing with Fnatic's strengths well. Super Hot Crew are not putting themselves in a position where they can get run down, where they can get crowd controlled by Fnatic. And they're splitting. Every time there's a big minion wave, I mean, I genuinely do not feel like Fnatic's minions have crossed that river for about half an hour. Because Super Hot Crew are just so consciously aware of where, when they need to be pushing those minions back, and they've done such a good job.
55 minutes, 21 seconds. The Super Hot Crew, funnily enough, game versus Millennium, the first game of the season actually for them, was the longest game of the summer split so far, and we're just 2 minutes away from beating that record. And Baron's coming up in 2 minutes. I think we might just be beating that record here.
I completely agree with you. At this stage in the game, the first Zephyr has been secured for the Super Hot Crew. If you look at the gold totals, over 20k there on Selfie, and it's actually him who sold his boots. So he's gone for the Zephyr. He's gone full AD carry Kale. If he can stick around long enough to members of Fnatic, he will instantly kill them. He's got so much shred from his passive, so much attack speed from all of his itemization, and he's even got the tenacity from the Zephyr, so if he does get caught by some slows or CC, he's in a pretty good position. But I think because of the way their comp works, again, same story, they just need to catch Fnatic. So wards are going to be important, and this next Baron buff, as you so rightly called, Joe, will potentially determine the victor. If you get a 2-0 or a 3-0 trade around this next objective,
yeah,
we're late enough in the game that you can just tank those Nexus turrets and win.
It's been that late for
a while.
For quite a while, I think, in this one, but with 45 seconds to go, we are going to be seeing another Baron dance to go. And I like the fact then, with that obvious Baron dance that's now going to be coming up, and how Fnatic need to keep vision of the Super Hot Crew, how the scrying orb comes out from Reckless.
Yeah, I really like the scrying orb pickup in games like this, when it is so imperative to not get caught out, when it is so important that your team has the information advantage in picking team fights. that you know there's sweepers. I mean, 3 members of Super Hot Crew have been clearing wards with pinks and the sweepers this whole game. You can't prevent the vision provided by that scrying orb. The only problem is, it is a pretty high cooldown. So now that it is available, I almost expect Fnatic to go in, and they've caught Cyanide, or not.
Or not, he's going to actually repel here, back out to that mid lane, and spears flying left and right. The Baron is now up, and that was the start of a Baron dance. We'll see how long that actually lasts, because Fnatic may try and call the Super Hot Crew's bluff here and go down mid.
Super Hot Crew need to back away. With Selfie being in the top lane, Fnatic have got this opportunity to start a team fight. Selfie has no teleport, and it will take him time to get into position. Fortunately, Fnatic did not feel like they wanted to force a team fight, and now they are actually at risk of being split. I think Selfie's picked the right path. He's moved himself in the right way, and it's just the same story over and over. Fnatic, they are so scared to engage because if they do get flanked, they lose the fight. Super Hot Crew started Baron off, and Mima once again running interference. She's in a good position.
There's a repel coming out from Cyanide. The Super Hot Crew actually moving back from this one. It's going to be picked up by the Super Hot Crew here. Fnatic couldn't get in place for the steal, and they're going to have to back away. Their defensive game starts again now.
The risk was too high. Cyanide could not flash into that pit, because even if he stole Baron and died, it would be 5v4 on the inhibitor. It was not worth it, so very smart call from Cyanide. With Baron buff and regen, and all of the MR that they've built up, that could be the tipping point that makes Super Hot Crew not afraid of those middly spears. We'll see if they feel that way, because once again, Selfie is split pushing this top lane. He's the one that is trying to get to the tower. We've seen how quickly he killed the inhibitor previously. That's going to be 2 or 3 auto attacks if he can get close enough.
Oh, getting locked up here though, possibly. That's some good damage back. Inhibitor in the mid lane will be taken out here though by the Super Hot Crew. Every single person that they send top just drawing attention away from that middle lane.
Even if Fnatic had caught Selfie out, he had flash, he had intervention, and he had the support of Mima. So the moment Fnatic committed 1 or 2 members to that fight, it was always going to be advantageous for Super Hot Crew. And as you've just pointed to me, Joe, Hourglass as well. So there's a lot of tools that Selfie had to buy time. He only wanted to run interference. He was never looking for a fight. Just, again, really good, decisive play from the Super Hot Crew. And this is why we talked them up in the pre-game. This is why we highlighted them as one of the strongest teams of the summer split up to this point.
Always have to worry though for one single mistake at this point of the game, whether Fnatic can force that of the Super Hot Crew. I'll give the Super Hot Crew the juice. They've not done a thing really wrong here, but look at that Reckless hammering away on Selfie. They're actually going to try for this one, and that is a hell of a lot of damage Selfie's way.
Does it cost them a tower? We Will Fail and Mr. Rolls have made their way up. If We Will Fail tanks this turret, I think they could have got it, but they're waiting for the minion wave. Again, interference job here from Super Hot Crew. They don't want a straight-up 5v5, even with Baron. Intervention still available for Selfie if he needs it.
Oh, Reckless though, he's going to hammer away on Mima that use the intervention. That's one tool down, although it moves quickly. And look at that, the super minions from the mid lane are now on the Nexus, so that's just one more hole in the wall to plug here to stop the flood overtaking the base.
Super Hot Crew are just using the minions. When there's no minions to play with, they're backing away. The inhibitor in the mid lane has been down for a couple of minutes now, so it may actually be respawning again as we're about to breach the 1 hour mark. And Fnatic have just been on the back foot. They've been defending. They haven't been able to control Super Hot Crew in the team fights for a long time. And with the amount of resistances and MR and items that Super Hot Crew have built up, I don't think they're even as afraid of Pekka anymore. Pekka's going to need 3, 4, 5 spears per engage to really turn the tide.
Crazy, crazy matchup. And as we mentioned earlier on about the longest game so far in the summer split, well, we've smashed that already. We're almost at the 1 hour mark here. Fnatic again fending off the waves in the mid lane. We're going to be seeing Impaler this time going towards the top lane. Selfie has brought a big wave up on that side. Mr. Rawls will be pushing the bottom lane, and this is where it starts to become, again, painful for Fnatic. The Baron buff, however, will be timing out here pretty shortly.
I have to highlight how much Super Hot Crew have grown. From the last time we seen them in these super late game positions, They've never played this intelligently. Even earlier in the summer split where Selfie was playing Twisted Fate against Roccat, they made some mistakes. Selfie's been jumped on.
Selfie has been jumped on. The intervention gives him a ton of time though. There is the Sonya's going to be used. I don't think he's going to escape it though. Is he going to escape? No, he's not. That is going to be a kill. However, Mr. Roz has taken down Peke on Nidalee, and he's now working his way through the inhib as well.
They trade mid laner for mid laner. Even if Mr. Rolls goes down, I think he needed to have taken the inhibitor. There's support from the rest of the crew.
Feel like getting the slow there, but we are going to see Soaz Cyanide getting his GA pop. They continue on this one, but Soaz now being hammered away on. Cyanide falls low. He'll repel up to his own minions, but everyone going super, super low. GA of Soaz is pop, but here comes Reckless. Is it enough to rescue them? He goes for Mr. Rolls. Soaz comes back up. We won't fail him, maybe caught out here. He's going to go down, and in the end, we have one man dying on that side. We see Mima pushing on the inhib on the top side. I don't know if Fnatic can push him. He doesn't want to risk it.
He's not going to give up his life because it would cost far too much. We will fail a win for such an aggressive play. He looked for the flash hook onto Reckless, but because he did not connect, it meant Reckless got all of the time in the world that he needed to just melt Super Haku and force them backwards. Mr. Rolls backed away from that inhibitor. I feel like it may have been worth it to go for the inhibit. He had the support of his team. He had his summoner heal, the potential of a lantern to come in. But, you know, hindsight is 2020. 2 for 1 at the end of the day. Inhibitor in the mid lane is respawned. Fnatic successfully defended an onslaught from 3 fronts from the Super Hawk crew. But that was very, very risky.
Will that put any kind of uncertainty into the Super Hawk crew? That's something that they can't afford to have. And let's have a look at that fight down in the bottom lane. This is where Peke went down to Mr. Rolls.
Oh, I'm not even sure that's a fight. That's 1 crit, 782 expunge, just 1 auto attack. I mean,
that wasn't a fight.
No, that was just, yeah, unlucky for you, Peke. But I think Mr. Rolls, he's actually not been too successful at that up until this point. We haven't seen him eliminating people. Unfortunate for Xpeke, because he's been the one that's been killed twice. The 2 times it has happened. There are no towers left on those inhibitors. Fnatic have absolutely no room for mistakes left. If they get picked off once more like that, it will be a 5v4, it will be 1 or 2 inhibitors instantly.
62 minutes about to hit from this. We may have to get our stat guys on the longest game ever so far in the LCS to bring that one up, because this one showing no signs of ending just yet. We've got another Baron coming up in less than a minute's time. Fnatic look to be setting up somewhat of a trap, but I don't think traps may be the name of the game right now. Defending is still going to be a big priority as they once again have Mima pushing the bottom lane out. The top wave's going to be pushed by Selfie possibly. Either way, the minions coming through there.
What I really like that the Super Crew are doing now, and have actually been doing for a while, is they've starved Fnatic of their own jungle. Because of the risk of Fnatic being caught out and losing a member in a team fight than an objective, they've been clumped up together the whole time, and Super Hawk Crew have got back-to-back-to-back dragons and red buffs and blue buffs, so they've got all of these jungle camps to work with and try to accelerate further ahead. But because we're so late in the game, the itemization is just ridiculous for everybody. So it's not necessarily going to give you a massive... They've caught Cyanide.
Cyanide going to get played back from this one. It looks like Fnatic may just leave him. Or will they? It's only Impaler that's there. The turn. Impaler takes a lot of damage. Here comes Mima from the side. The tidal wave not going to be enough. They've got 2 kills. This is surely game for the Super Hawk crew. They've taken the AD carry. They've taken the jungler. The rest of them pretty much full HP apart from Mr. Rolls. Only 3 men left for Fnatic.
It is all on Xpeke. If he doesn't land spears onto Selfie and Mr. Rolls, there's nothing Fnatic can do to stop this. Let's keep our eyes on it. Super Crew grab the inhibitor.
We won't fail. It does take a spear to the face, but will it be enough to hold on? The Super Hawk Crew look like they want more inhibitors. There's 45 seconds still until Cyanide and Reckless come back into this game. Spear still not connected, and Selfie now doing some damage over towards Soaz, who will take a ton of it as a bubble comes around the side. The slow onto Mima. The super minions though are coming in. Selfie did get hit there by a big spear, but it's not going to be enough here for Fnatic. The Super Hawk crew have moved on towards those Nexus turrets. The Nexus itself will be focused, and the Super Hawk crew win a 64-minute epic here against Fnatic.
This was the longest game of the 2014 European LCS.
There a lot of scratched foreheads, and well, I think after a marathon game like that, it's not always clear what really just happened to you. They certainly did incredibly well there, the Super Hot Crew, playing the map to absolute perfection, but times like this you've also got to give props to Fnatic. They held on to that game for so long.
They really did. But the few mistakes Fnatic made, Super Hot Crew punished them. I don't think I've seen a team maintain minion wave control of a game for that extended period of time while simultaneously containing their opponents all year long. Super Hot Crew just delivered in a 64-minute match. The last record was Roccat versus Gambit, 59 minutes. So this was a good 4 minutes longer in the European LCS. And the entirety of that, for 35, 40 minutes long, was just minion wave after minion wave, all in favor of the Super Hot Crew. They simply shut out Fnatic by playing the map correctly.
And it was said at the start of today by Demon and Deficio, if the Super Hot Crew win both games here this weekend, they will go top of the table. And that was, for me, a little bit unfathomable. If I was going to put bets towards anything, it certainly wouldn't have been that before we started here in the Summer Split.
I completely agree with you. And it's something that I talked about in the preview show about Super Hot Crew and why they're looking so good. It's not one single element. It's not the inclusion of, Selfie isn't all of a sudden just decimating everyone. He's playing well. He's playing better than he did, but he's synergizing so much better with the rest of the team.
Yeah.
When he played that bait Kayle in the top lane with his Hourglass, with his intervention, it opened up an inhibitor. It opened up the rest of the map. So it's super intelligent play. Every single one of them has raised their individual ability, and they're just working so well as a unit.
And we see the rise of these new, stronger teams coming in. Of course, Roccat a little bit the exception to the rule. Funnily enough, they were the team coming into this year that everyone thought would do terrible, then had a brilliant spring split, doing completely the opposite almost here in the summer. The Super Hot Crew are a mirror image flipped the other way. They've come into this summer split looking like a new team, a reinvigorated team that I don't know what it is, what's clicked for them. We're going to find out possibly in the next time we talk to them, because we have Shox on the stage who's ready, standing by with the Super Hot Crew's Mr. Rals.
Thank you very much, Joe. Congratulations first off. What a game that was. You guys always seem to get into these long, extremely exciting games. Tell us about the end of the game and where you guys kind of tried and find the opening and what was keeping you from ending it.
We tried several things, but every time we tried something, we got speared, which kind of stalled the game quite a long time. And then we figured out that we wanted to split push with Kayle, and then use me as split pushing bot lane alone and try to pick up someone. And it worked one time, but apparently my team got caught as well. But yeah, in the end, we just managed to find a way to catch him off.
Tell me then about the rest of the game, because for the longest time, you guys were only focusing on getting those dragons, getting those towers, and not necessarily wanting to fight.
I'm not really sure how, but for some reason we managed to get objectives, which we never ever do. But yeah, I don't know, we tried to get some kills and it didn't really work out, and we did some mistakes there and there, but we always managed to get an objective more.
So we already heard from Impaler's words in the pre-show how a lot has changed for you guys, what you're focusing on those objectives. But as Joe said, what has clicked for you guys and the team that you guys have been able to level up so quickly in actually quite a short amount of time?
I think it's because our coach has been showing us some new ways to play the game, and we're focusing a lot more on the objectives, and yeah, just rotations it's something we have been learning a lot, and that's something we haven't really realized from last split.
Well, you guys look absolutely phenomenal once again. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Now, I suggest that you grab an elixir of fortitude, because we're going to take a short break. But when we come back, the Copenhagen Wolves take on Gambit, and we break down this game for you guys. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in 3.5.
They had a picture of you and a dragon, right?
Did they really?
Yeah.
This is like, oh, really?
And the chat was like, nerd.
That's so good, dude.
Good spear onto Mr. Rals as well. There's the ultimate coming out of Impaler. The wave comes through. He was flashed by Impaler, who gets the hook. The Banshee's Veil soaks up the spear. Oh, what a bubble though. Two of them going to be locked up. Tidal wave comes in as well. Impaler's going to go down. Impaler's going to flash. They use the talisman. Tidal wave comes through. Cocoon left. They manage to kill the support. Mima comes in. Well, there's Selfie from the side. He's ripping through them. They're destroying the Fnatic. They're going to lose Cyanide. Impaler will get that kill. GA of Soaz is pop. Well, here comes Reckless. Is it enough to rescue them? He goes for Mr. Rals. Soaz comes back up. Impaler may be caught out here. He's going to go down. Or will he? It's only Impaler that's there. They turn. Impaler takes a lot of damage. Here comes Mima from the side. The tidal wave not going to be enough. They've got 2 kills. This is surely game.